It is 11:42 p.m. The kitchen table is covered in numbers you already know by heart but keep checking anyway. Income, $82,000. Bank balance, $213. Credit card minimum due tomorrow? You close the laptop, you open it again? 3 credit cards, 1 auto loan. Student debt sitting quietly in the background like a tenant who never pays rent but never leaves. Nothing catastrophic on its own. Together, they form something worse than a crisis. They form a ceiling. Invisible. Permanent. Exactly your height. You followed every rule you were given. College. Career. Show up. Work hard. So why does the math never work? Why does every month end the same way? Not broke enough to ask for help? Not stable enough to breathe? Your phone vibrates on the table. Banking app notification? Low balance warning. You stare at it. Then at something behind it. And something that takes a few seconds to fully form. You work for the company that built this app. Tomorrow morning, you will walk into the office that designed the system currently tracking your failure. And you will find something that was never supposed to be visible. Hi, I'm Nikki, the voice behind Invest with Nikki. No, I don't normally show my face. Because in finance, the person talking is usually the last thing you should be paying attention to. Follow the money, not the messenger. I explain the financial rules that wealthy families pass down at dinner tables and the rest of us find out about at 35 or older in a panic. You found this channel early. That's already the first smart financial decision you've made. Let's build on that. Now, back to the story. The office is glass and light and standing desks and a kitchen stocked with things that signal success. You are a data analyst. The company builds one of the most widely used budgeting apps in America. 11 million users. The promise printed on every marketing slide. Take control of your money. Your job is behavioral analysis. Which features get used? Which ones get ignored? Which patterns lead to real financial change? On paper, you help people escape debt. But something has always sat wrong with you, something you filed away and never examined. The users who need the app most, and the ones who log in every single day, who budget religiously, who track every transaction, never seem to fully escape the cycle. They stay, they budget, they struggle, they stay. That afternoon, a new data set arrives. A 5-year wealth study. You open it, and immediately the numbers feel wrong. 2 groups, same app, same income range, completely different financial trajectories. Group A logs in daily, tracks every dollar, follows the system exactly as designed. Wealth growth after 5 years, modest. Debt levels, largely unchanged. Group B barely uses the app, logs in occasionally, rarely tracks individual transactions. Wealth growth after 5 years, significant. Debt levels, largely resolved. You check the income data 3 times. Nearly identical salaries, same cities, same cost of living. Income cannot explain this. You run new models, new filters. You eliminate variables one by one until only one remains. The age at which each group made their first investment. The gap between Group A and Group B is 6 years, only 6 years. You run the compound growth curves. Group B invests at 23. Group B invests at 29. 6 years. After 2 decades, that 6-year head start becomes $340,000. Not because Group B worked harder, not because they earned more, because compound interest does not care about effort. It only counts time. The math is brutal in the way only neutral things can be brutal. No malice, no mercy, just arithmetic doing exactly what arithmetic does. But the math is not the question. The question is why the gap exists at all. You dig into demographics, education levels, career fields, family income. Nothing holds. Until one variable appears so quietly you almost scroll past it. Group B users grew up in households where money was discussed. Not perfectly, not always wisely, but openly. Investments were mentioned at dinner. Mistakes were explained, not hidden. The vocabulary existed before the necessity did. Group A, almost none. You feel a tightness move through your chest that has nothing to do with the data, because that is your childhood described in a column header. Your mother worked 2 jobs. You learned responsibility before you learned to read. You learned sacrifice before you learned interest rates. You learned that money was stress. You never learned that money was a system with rules that could be understood. You open your own financial timeline. You didn't invest until 31. The cursor blinks. You find the internal report by accident. Customer lifetime value mapped against financial outcome. Users who escape debt within 2 years cancel their subscriptions at 4 times the average rate. They stop engaging. They disappear from the ecosystem entirely. The most profitable users are the ones who stay financially stuck. You read it twice, then you find the product memo. One sentence. Highlighted in yellow by someone whose name you don't recognize. Financial struggle drives engagement. You sit very still. The app was built to help people. The business model works best when they don't get all the way there. You close the laptop, you do not open it again. That night, you look at your finances without emotion for the first time. Like a data analyst, not a person who is ashamed. The pattern is immediate. Every major financial decision you made was reactive. Debt accumulated during emergencies. Investing delayed until it felt safe. Safety never came. Not because you were irresponsible, because you were never handed the rulebook. You believed for 15 years that you were failing. The truth is more precise than that. You were playing a game whose rules were distributed unevenly at birth. Some people received them early. You received a work ethic instead. Both have value, only one compounds. The education begins at the kitchen table. Same table, different posture. Assets versus liabilities. The distinction sounds simple. It reorganizes everything. Tax-advantaged accounts, Roth IRA, index funds, compound interest working forward instead of against you. The first investment is $400. Nothing moves, nothing changes visibly, but something shifts in the architecture of how you see money. It stops being a scoreboard, it starts being a system, and systems can be understood. Systems have inputs and outputs and rules. You were never bad at money. You were just never shown the controls. Nothing dramatic happens. No inheritance. No viral moment. No sudden clarity that solves everything overnight. Debt shrinks by $200 one month, $400 the next. The investment account grows in a direction that feels almost suspicious at first. Months pass, then years. The number in your bank account stops being the first thing you check in the morning. That is the real signal, not the balance. The silence where the anxiety used to live, the ceiling is still there, but it is higher now. You are standing in a community center on a Tuesday evening, folding chairs, a whiteboard. I am 20 people who came after work because something in their life brought them here. You are not a guru. You do not have a course to sell. You have a data set and a story that belongs to most of the people in this room. You write one number on the board. 6. The number of years that separates two financial futures that begin with identical salaries. Nobody in this room failed. Nobody here was irresponsible. Nobody here deserved the ceiling. They just received the rules late. Some people learned them at 18, handed down at dinner tables and conversations that sounded casual but were actually inheritance. Others learn at 31, or 38, or tonight in a folding chair. The rules were always available, they were just never equally distributed. And that is not a personal failure. That is a design. Hard work was never the problem. Hard work without the rule book is just running faster in a room with no exit. Tonight the door is open. The rules are on the board. And the only question left is how much time you still have.